Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
Hey, what's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news and discussion each and every week. And this week, we're going to be discussing more in detail. That's a lot of D sounds. Volume 2 of Star Wars Visions. We're also going to be breaking down the latest behind-the-scenes updates on various Star Wars projects, including Andor, Dave Filoni's movie, and more. And we finally look back on our scores for The Mandalorian Season 3 and The Bad Batch Season 2. We haven't done Bad Batch yet either.
Yeah. What?
What?
I think we've been
There
over
hasn't
every
been time.
one of us.
There hasn't been
I
time.
swore we did.
No
Okay.
time.
I must be
There was
thinking about the
quick
first
stop,
season.
man. The Mandalorian was still going on when the season ended. There was, and then there was
Okay, that
celebration, and there
makes
just
sense.
hasn't been time. Okay.
So we're going to talk about our scores and review and our averages for Mandalorian and The Bad Batch Season 2 and see if we still agree with ourselves, because we have had time to change our opinions, apparently. I don't know. We'll find out. All this and much more on this episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. My name is Chris, and joining me, it's my good friend, Mr. Dominic Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. I ran those numbers, and like, there was some of you, spent a lot of time saying, this season and that season, and shaking your fist at the TV. And then I run the numbers, and it's like, how did you score? How did you give a higher score than me? How did that happen? So,
Oh no!
No way.
I'm really worried
No
that's
way.
me. Oh,
so
no.
we'll get to that. But yeah, hello Chris,
That is
hello
not me.
Ben, hello Hannah. You say that. Hello everybody. Yeah, for in a break with tradition, I'm starting the show sitting down this week. No more standing. Although who knows, maybe we'll do that again in a future week. But yeah, I hope everybody's recovered from their come down from Star Wars Day, all the excitement, and now we're just settling into what will likely be a quieter period. It's not going to be a lot of new Star Wars between now and Ahsoka. So let's enjoy the quiet. Let's enjoy the pause. Let's savor the ride leading up to Ahsoka, because that's going to be a wild ride. Then we'll have Skeleton Crew, what the hell is Skeleton Key? Skeleton Crew not too shortly after, and then
number Pirates of the Caribbean number 6.
Yeah,
Skeleton
right?
Key.
That'd be a pretty good title for one of those, actually.
it
Yeah,
is.
but yeah,
Johnny Depp makes his triumphant return. I'm kind of excited for that.
it's gonna be a good show.
Oh, right. The banter just stopped. It was just rolling, and I forgot that we were in the intro. Also joining us, Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Yeah, I'm. I know how it is, not knowing what to say, like right now. But yeah, it's been a wild run, guys. But now we don't have anything to talk about anymore. No, not actually. We still have a lot of catching up to do on stuff to talk about. So, yeah, I haven't looked at the notes in like 6 hours, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we actually talk about tonight.
Me too. Also,
Well, and I'll add, there's some secret things. That are coming up on the show that these three don't know about. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
I'm intrigued. And that other voice you hear from the Raeside, it's Hannah.
I feel like every week is a secret for me because I never look at the notes. So I just go, what are we going to do today? Oh, it's good to be back. Obviously missing last week, but I'm very excited to get into the conversation today. I'm so excited to know the averages. I cannot describe how excited I am. It's going to be great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, there's a few surprises in those averages. There's a few.
I just want to know the Benny score. I want to remember the Benny score.
Well, I will say our own Benny really messed with the averages for one of the seasons.
Yeah,
the score that he gave.
Somebody gave a 1 out of 10 or something.
Yeah,
something.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. That was just a blur. I don't remember any of that.
Yeah. We review bombed Star Wars.
Ben was leading a campaign. He started a petition.
You're all Disney shills.
Got a hashtag going.
Oh no!
And all of a sudden he was in the news.
The Canadian news.
Canadian news, yeah, of course. Ben is anytime Ben does anything, it's the top story in Canada.
Yeah, America does not give a crap about me. It's Canada.
They're so fascinated by Americans.
Ben Hart, the Canadian Star Wars guy. Yay!
Yeah.
Ben Hart, founder of the Star Wars Underground, appearing today on CTV News.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so we're gonna get to talking about Star Wars Visions and all that news and all the secrets and surprises and special stuff in a moment. But real quick, I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you punch that subscribe button. And if you become a channel member, that is a great way to support us as well. You get a special badge when you comment. We also are taking super chats, and we're gonna do something awesome with super chats this week that we're excited for. We're going to have an expanded segment later on the show where we just focus on super chats and talk with you guys. And we're going to do that towards the end of the show. But it's going to be much longer than like the small kind of super chat catch up segments that we usually do after segments, because we want to really like talk with you guys and engage and talk in detail about anything you leave. So if you super chat before that segment, that's cool. If you think of something while you're watching a segment and you want to comment on that, we will get to that at the top when we do that segment. If not, if you want to wait till we can respond to you right away, just wait till the end of the show and we'll do that for there. So we're super excited to see how that goes, because we enjoy chatting with you guys and we want to have a segment just focused on that. So stay tuned for that super chat segment later.
And let me just add, for that segment, in weeks going forward, it won't just be limited to super chats. We're going to expand it out because we know not everybody listens live. We know not everybody listens live, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to get in on the conversation. So that's going to be rolling out over the next couple of weeks.
Which reminds me to promote our Discord, because that's probably going to be how we use Discord to get some more feedback from you guys that we can talk about if you're not watching live and can't super chat. So make sure you join the SWU Network Discord, which you can see in the description of all of the podcast feeds and videos that are out. So definitely join us over there. And we got a lot of fun stuff over there too, like game nights and movie nights and stuff like that. I don't know, Ben, when is the next one? I'm actually out of the loop when the next thing is.
So that next event will be not this Friday, but the next Friday. Awesome. And I think it's gonna be another game night. I think.
Awesome.
So that should be a lot of fun.
Might be finishing up Star Wars Fortnite. Maybe. I also hear something about Apex Legends on some server. I don't know if it's ours or another one.
I've never played, but I'm like. So we'll see about that.
We also have game nights over at the Culture Slate server, so forgive me if I ever confuse what's happening on one and the other, because it's basically the same people. It's just a different day. So
Same people, different day.
Exactly.
That's
Very
the
similar.
We got a
crowd.
Discord for every day of the week.
Yes, pretty much. Let us know when your game nights are if they ever start, Hannah, and we'll
Yeah.
plug those too.
I'll do the other day. Yeah.
And then we just need Dominic to start a Discord server for his game nights, and that's gonna be the most Dominic thing ever, playing video games on Discord. And
that's me. Yeah, we'll play classic games. We'll get in there. We'll play like Snake and
Snake.
Pong.
How old are you? Jeez.
Space Invaders. And for a big up-to-date current game, we'll play like Miss Pac-Man or something, really current gaming.
Dominic's electronic game forum. Check it out. Plug in your AIM account and you can log in like that.
The hell is an AIM account?
I just showed my Edge road. I'm embarrassed.
I assume Dominic logged on with AOL to get on this podcast.
That is what that is.
Or maybe COL, Canadian Online, if that was a thing.
That's right. That's why you wouldn't know. The A stands for American, so they wouldn't have it in Canada. I just realized that. I don't. We got to talk about
There's a bunch of kids going, what? What are you talking about?
A bunch of kids. There's one right here going, what the hell are we talking about? No.
All of our listeners who are over 30 are laughing their butts off right now. They're so entertained by this conversation.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. You can follow us on all the social media but AOL at the SWU. We are not on AOL.
Not yet.
Sorry, unless it makes a comeback. That's all the plugs. That's all the good plugs. So, we have a network. We have a podcast network too. That's right. That was the other thing. It's like way down there. I found it.
Bottom.
Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Check it out. We got the Raeside. We over on Hannah's channel. We got Ion Cannon over on this channel, and also Tales from Beyond the Galaxy over on their Twitch. So those are where you can find those things. You got all the stuff covered between all of the shows. So make sure you check those things out. Okay, cool. I made it. I survived. I did it.
Barely. You got stuck in a early 90s or late 90s internet rabbit hole.
Another happy landing.
Barely got out of it. But let's kick things off. Last week we talked a little bit about Star Wars Visions. It had just come out. We recorded on Star Wars Day, right? Yeah, so it just can't come out day of. So we talked a little bit about it, but we hadn't all seen all the episodes yet. Now that we've had a week, we want to take some time and talk about the season as a whole, and maybe get into some of the deeper details of some of these episodes. So, Ben, we'll throw it over to you first. You told us before we started recording that you finished watching the last episode of Visions last night while you were in bed. So
Right.
give us your overall thoughts on the second volume of Star Wars Visions.
Yeah. Actually, I lied about that. I finished watching the last two episodes today, just a few hours for this podcast. So I really was pushing it to the limit. But yeah, I did really enjoy Volume 2. I want to keep wanting to say Season 2, but it's Volume 2 there. I want to keep with the program here. I did really enjoy it. I don't think my opinion has changed since last week in regards to liking Season 1 better than Season 2, because I still think there's nothing really, as much as I did like a lot of the shorts in this season, none of them really overshot the first season. There was several shorts in the first season that I really, really liked. This one, not so much. There was some shorts that I'm like, that's okay. And then the other shorts, like I watched last night, The Spy Dancer, I think was great. I think probably my favorite of the bunch. Surprising, because I was like, I don't know what to expect of this. And then that one came in. I'm like, that's great. Obviously talked about I Am Your Mother last week. That one was great. There's several ones there's definitely a running theme throughout this season of, you could, I don't want to say cookie cutter. I want to assume that this was planned, or maybe just a lot of parallel thought, but there was a lot of, oh, hey, here's the Empire's here, and there's a kid with force powers, and then they get discovered, and then they get taken away by a Jedi to go train in the Force.
So Ben, your concern here is that they did what literally every Star Wars story in all of history has done. That is like the classic. That's the classic Star Wars setup. There's a kid with Force abilities. Jedi arrives, training, adventures begin.
But it's just like compacting it into one season of television, watching them back to back really hammers home like, yeah, this is Star Wars, guys. There's no denying it. But all that said, I mean, some beautifully animated and a lot of diversity in the animation. Some great stop motion animation, I think, was absolutely incredible. I think it was whatever the name of the one was, the bandits of blah blah blah. Golak, thank you.
I have it pulled up. I'm not a genius.
Like that one, that one straight up like had CGI animation akin to Clone Wars. In fact, there's several like background characters that are like straight up look like they've been pulled right out of Clone Wars. So yeah, I mean, just an amazing assortment of pieces of animation that I think just continue to wow. I think it continues to make this series kind of something that you don't really know what to expect. It's something that's out there. It's weird. It's interesting, and I applaud them for continuing to, greenlight this and keep it going.
Yeah. All right. I certainly agree with that last statement. Hannah, you famously did not care for Volume 1. I'm almost afraid to ask, as if I don't already know. What did you think of Volume 2?
Oh no. Well, I
about sums it up. Oh no.
Yeah. I can't remember if I actually did this or I was so sick with a cold that I just imagined doing this. Is when I watched it all, and I think I might have messaged you guys in the group chat. I said,
you did.
You guys know what I think. Yeah, you guys know what I think about season 1. I prefer season 1 over this season. So I watched most of them. I may have skimmed some. It's just really not my cup of tea.
I want to know which one you skimmed.
The dancing one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the dancing one and the I Am Your Mother one.
Oh.
Those are the best ones.
I just couldn't connect. It's just I don't know what I think. I maybe messaged this in the stream last week as well. I think I have just this predisposed stubbornness to the fact that it's not canon. I just, for some reason, that is such a large mental block for me to like be able to connect to the story. So yeah, where have I gone?
Yeah, you just went invisible.
I think Bob Iger just kind of like opened a trap door under you.
What's great is Hannah's background is the Visions logo too, so it's like no more Hannah, just Visions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm back now. All right.
Wait.
Anyway.
Is that orange juice dude's profile picture in your hand?
It looks like
how did you get that off of the internet?
I got to do some sort of bit where
what
like,
kind of sorcery is this?
Oh, I got your profile picture. Oh man, am I dreaming? What was I talking about? Visions.
You thought you were feeling better, but really you're just involved in another fever dream.
You're hallucinating this entire episode. Go back to sleep.
Oh man, but yeah, it's just I think that really is my biggest issue. I'm not really a big fan of non-canon Star Wars stuff, and I'm not a big fan of like heaps of other stories outside of Star Wars. I'm very quite single-minded. Like Star Wars is my thing. I see some other movies, but I'm not really into many other franchises or names or anything. So just not my thing. I didn't really enjoy any of the stories, I think.
I was going to ask. Is
the
there
Screecher
one?
Reacher, the Screecher Reacher one, whatever
Yeah.
that was. What's
That one?
that
That one was okay. That one was looking.
that was like, oh, okay, I can like understand this. The rest of them I didn't really enjoy.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough.
Hmm.
Fair enough.
No,
I mean,
hardcore.
yeah. I mean, we can come back to the kind of the canon question of it all in a little bit, because I think that's interesting. I do think that's, and completely fair. Chris, over to you. Your thoughts on Visions Volume 2 as a whole?
Yeah. I don't know if it was just like the mood I was in when I was watching the first few episodes, or if like they just put the weakest episodes first. I don't know. It's hard. I have to kind of watch the whole season again to kind of figure that one out. But like I really liked the back 5 episodes better than the first 4. Like there wasn't really anything. It's like I didn't hate the first 4. I just thought that they were okay. Like they were good, but they weren't like absolutely amazing. They didn't knock my socks off on every single level of storytelling. I just appreciated certain aspects of them, like the animation and things like that. But the last 5, I felt like had everything. Like I felt like the writing and the story and the animation and the acting, like everything came together really well for me in those. And it did the thing that I was kind of looking for that I was missing from the first few, which is really some of them made me mad that they were shorts and that they weren't part of a series, which is kind of that's what I felt like during Vision season 1. I'm the disappointment doctor, so Hannah, I'm going to pay you a visit, just like I did with Andor.
Do you have a couch to lay on?
Yeah.
So get on your couch, your therapy couch.
Yeah.
Let me grab my notebook.
Yes.
Okay, this. I've had this thought a few
It's
times.
not canon. How does that make you feel?
Yes, no, that's exactly what I want to address. So I've had this thought a few times while watching the season, and it actually speaks a lot to what Hannah's saying about the non-canon. I'm going to explain why I don't have an issue with the non-canon stuff. To me, I feel like these are in-universe stories. Like their Star Wars stories told inside the Star Wars universe. So that's why they're not canon. They're fiction inside the Star Wars universe. So that's why I don't freak out when I'm watching them. Like, oh, I'm so mad or it's weird that this isn't happening, because it is happening. It's just that this is the media that people inside Star Wars watch about themselves, just like we make media about ourselves and our universe. So, and they're the type of stories you would expect to see inside a Star Wars universe, where it's playing off of the themes that everybody knows about, like kyber crystals and Jedi and Sith and the Empire. But these they're not about the characters we know, because they're fictional stories. They're fictional situations about things that is common knowledge within the Star Wars universe. So when I'm watching this, I'm trying to put myself in the frame set of like, why would someone inside a Star Wars universe tell a story like this? And it's kind of almost cool to like insert the actual storytellers into the Star Wars universe and see like what someone's perspective would be in the universe of their own universe, and what type of messaging. Like they would still have like anti-imperial messaging. They would still have like pro-force messaging inside the Star Wars universe, just like out of universe we make those for our canon characters. So that makes it work for me if I look at it that way. That's my perspective. I charge $100 an hour.
Yeah.
And
I'll be
100
taking up
American
your services.
$100 so it's real bad.
Yes, 150 Australian dollars, please.
In the chat, Jesse Bennett says, so you're saying what we're watching is basically reality TV filmed on Coruscant?
No,
And,
it is fictional, but yeah.
And Orange Juice dude says, I would expect to see more like normal stuff, not this Jedi deep state PS. More stories about plumbers and stuff.
Okay, do you turn on the TV and watch stories about plumbers? No.
I mean, maybe if you're watching HGTV.
No, this is not the HoloNet here.
If you saw the Super Mario Bros, is that not a movie about plumbers?
These are good stories made by like imagine how good like the manifesto is in Andor. Like it's like there are good writers in the Star Wars universe. We just don't get to see what they write because we don't really see that. Like the best thing that the holiday special is like the best thing that we have to refer to, and that's not good because it's a soap opera, and it's not that. It's a soap opera that is like it's kind of like Cops, and it's kind of reality, and it's kind of not, and it's also propaganda. So,
and you know, like look at how many stories in our real world that are based in World War II, like, and because like Nazis are really good bad guys, like they're when they get behind.
Thank God you finished that sentence, Ben. Oh.
Look, wow! I'm glad you have faith in me there. But like,
I was more worried that the internet was going to die right there. We're just going to be like, wow, Ben's really provocative
all
tonight.
Disappear.
But like, think about in the Star Wars universe, especially in the time of, say, 15 years after the rise of Skywalker, when all this stuff is gone, like, that would be a lucrative time to tell a story, is that during the dark times when, the Empire's a really bad guy because everybody hates the Empire at that point and everybody's on the same page about that. So I like that idea. I don't really approach it that way. Really, just watching them, I kind of come in from a perspective of like, some of these stories I feel like absolutely could be canon and absolutely could work. Like, I watched The Spy Dancer, which I think was a really great story. And one thing that kind of surprised me about that one is that it wasn't about a Force sensitive kid. It was about something else. But also, it felt like a real story. It felt like something, okay, this could actually happen in the Star Wars universe. Some of them, maybe not so much. Some of them are a bit more outlandish. You go back to the twins from season 1. That's very out there and not something that I really consider to be canon. But to me, this is like the ultimate headcanon thing. I'm just like, if you like it and you think it fits in the Star Wars universe, you can take it and accept it as canon. If it doesn't, you can just ignore it. I mean, it really comes down to that. I think that's really what we should have. That's the attitude we should have about everything in Star Wars. We should say, hey, I don't like that movie, so I'm just going to ignore it. And I'm not going to complain about it on the internet for 20 years. But people don't do that, unfortunately.
Ben, can you do me a favor and just read this comment from Joel as the other guy? You know who I'm referring to?
I think so. Empire news: the Jedi are using plumbers to corrupt the youth.
Thank you, Ben.
Fun.
So past all
the Empire's
that,
putting chemicals in the water to turn the Gungans gay.
I'm glad you said that and not me, because I wanted to, but I'm like, I don't want to be held responsible for this.
At Ben Hart with no E.
Look, if there's anybody on this podcast is going to get canceled, it's definitely going to be me. Okay, so let's I'm just going headlong into it.
Okay. So anyway, that's just my response to the canon conversation, because I did have that thought, so it was very relevant. But moving past that, like, there were some of these episodes that I felt like could definitely be a great start to a series. I have pulled up the names because I didn't memorize all of them. So like, I felt like the Bandits of Golak and the Spy Dancer could definitely be series. I feel like they were almost like origin stories for characters. And I feel like that's the case with the last song, Au's song, Au. I can't speak that language. Au's song, as well. The Pit was really good. I really loved it, but I think that one worked a little bit better as a one-off. I also thought Journey to the Dark Head could make a great series as well. Like, they were really setting up an origin story of the relationship of like two main characters that could really carry a series. So my frustration about Visions not being canon is kind of different than I can't really enjoy them because they're not canon. It's more like I wish that they were entire series. Like, I wish they weren't just shorts, because I feel like they could do deeper, more long form storytelling with a lot of these concepts. And I feel like that would compete with the rest of what is being made canon for Star Wars. Like, I would put this as kind of like in the like 75th percentile Star Wars. I think that some of these stories I would rather see than like 75% of canon stories across like all media. So that I feel like this is like above average storytelling, and yeah, I wish that we got more of this than just like 15 to 18-minute shorts every few years that where you just get one of each story. I mean, this is a great introduction. I love this series. I don't think it should stop, but I feel like it should be expanded into more. I feel like the ones that are the most popular should be made into like actual shows because I would totally watch them. Like I would totally watch Journey to the Dark Head or Bandits of Golak series based on those characters. Like I would be super excited for that. Just as excited, probably more excited than I am for half of the stuff that they put out. So they're that great. But I also do really appreciate the anthology aspect of this show and how we're seeing different cultures' interpretations of Star Wars. Like the Bandits of Golak one definitely, like they did such an amazing job putting an Indian perspective on Star Wars with all of the cultural references to Indian culture in there that I was just like, oh man, this is so cool. This is like if Star Wars came out of Bollywood instead of California and London and such. Like this is what it would look like. And I also thought it was really cool that they had a Chiss Inquisitor in that episode because there's like characters in Indian mythology that have blue skin. So I was like, this is like a really cool combination of like, I can't tell if this character's skin is blue because of Indian mythology or because of it's just Star Wars and he's a Chiss. Like it's kind of both. Like I thought that was really cool too. So there's these little kind of moments in there that are awesome. So yeah, I have so much to say about these episodes, especially the last 5. Like there's a lot of feedback on them and it's all very positive.
I think my issue watching these episodes as well is that I really like where's the line between something being in the Star Wars IP, in the Star Wars title, the name, and something just being a story with its title Star Wars stuck onto it. You know what I mean? Like I really don't find much if we just go, oh, but it's a story about like, you know, a kid, realizing their potential and overcoming adversity. Like that's the Star Wars story. It's like, okay, well then that could be every story like ever. You can just put Star Wars on. You know what I mean? Like where's the line where it's like this doesn't feel Star Wars and this does feel Star Wars?
The hero with 1,000 faces. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it's and I think it means something different to every single person. Because like my attitude towards all of this is canon schmanon. I'm almost not interested in whether something is canon or not. Like that to me that has it doesn't have an impact on whether I'm whether that doesn't affect my enjoyment of it. There's stories that are canon that I think are very, very, very middling, and there are some of these non-canon stories that I think are terrific. And Chris, I agree with you. There's some of them that I think just belong in that absolute upper pantheon of great Star Wars storytelling. But yeah, what does make it Star Wars? Does just the 2 words Star Wars at the front of it, is that enough? Probably not. Like, could you just put Star Wars at the beginning of an episode of Days of Our Lives and then just run that? So yeah, no, that takes place on the planet and and say that's our planet. Probably not. But I do think there is something inherently Star Wars to these stories. And again, do I know what it is to put my finger on it? No, not really. Is it lightsabers? Is it stormtroopers? That's part of it. That's certainly part of it. Is it the Force? That's part of it. But I think to me it's kind of Star Wars at its core. It has sort of it's a story about people standing up to oppression in some form. What form that takes depends on the story.
This is why you like the Benny episode so much.
Love it. Oh yeah, love it. It's terrific. And it has some kind of spiritual component to it. And even something like Andor, which is about as far removed from the Jedi and the Force as you can be, I still feel it in there. It still feels like it's part of it. And at the end of Rogue One, what does Jyn Erso say when they all get on board the Rogue One, that ship at the end? May the Force be with us. It's in our intro every week.
Yeah, I was going to say in our intro.
Yeah, it's part of the it's part of the larger connection between the characters and the universe. And I feel like each of these stories has that. So they do whatever the Star Wars feeling is. I got that in a very, very like concentrated, pure sense from all 9 of these stories. Like this might be this might be my favorite season of like Star Wars TV, period. Like there's not one that I'm like where I'm like, oh, I don't really care for that one. Like season 1, the last episode, whatever the last episode was of season 1, I cannot make it through that episode. I'm so bored when I watch it. I cannot make it through it. It's the last episode, whatever it is. I remember when we talked about it on the show. Yeah, when we talked about it on the show, I had to like watch it about 7 times to like get each part of it because I would get distracted at a different point because I was so bored. Not to tear down a different story to build up another one, but but these ones, like each one had a little piece of what is Star Wars, and that little piece shined very brightly, very, very brightly. And so I love the short film format. I love the short story format. Would I like to see some of these continue? Yeah. But am I okay with them each just being an individual thing? Yeah, I'm okay with that too. Like keep expanding this, keep going to new studios, keep getting a different take from each of them, because there have been 18 episodes and I think 17 of them have been absolute classics. And well, maybe let's say 15 of them have been classics. 2 of them have been just okay, and 1 of them was nah.
Fair enough. It's like going back to that question of just like, okay, what is Star Wars? I think a large majority of the disagreements between Star Wars fans and among Star Wars fandom can be traced back to the question, what is Star Wars? Because I think a lot of people have varying opinions on what they think Star Wars is. For some people, still, Star Wars is the original trilogy, and that's it.
Yeah.
And for other people, I grew up on the prequel trilogy, and maybe I'm not so hot on the original trilogy, and maybe I'm not so hot on the sequel trilogy. It's a different question. It's a different answer for everyone. I think the ultimate point of Visions is kind of doing this multicultural thing. I'm just like, obviously with Volume 1, it was just like, hey, let's kind of take Star Wars back to its roots. Let's give it to these wonderful Japanese animators. Let them do something with Star Wars from a purely Japanese perspective, and let them just take it and run with it. And then with this, it's just like, what is this culture doing? What does India think of Star Wars is? What is, England, even though most Star Wars movies were made in England, you still have a uniquely UK experience and a UK vision of what Star Wars can be. And that's kind of what this is all about. So like, I think it, ultimately, what is Star Wars? Depends on who you ask.
I personally, I think maybe from this conversation, engaging everyone's takes, I think I just I'm like creatively conservative when it comes to Star Wars storytelling. Because, like, I'm still trying to, like, connect with Andor. The Andor was such a step away from, like, the media style that I expect of Star Wars. So it's like I'm still wrapping my head around Andor. So of course Visions is like, what to my brain? But you know what, Ben, as you just talking just then, I just had that thought of, that Visions is a great name for what this project and these projects are, because it feels like, maybe it's not this like, oh, this is the canon story in Star Wars, but it feels like they are these visions of stories that are people that have some sort of a hand in Star Wars. Which, yeah, I wonder if that's probably why it's called like that. Like, these are just, tenement visions that people have.
I think so. And I think the other thing that I find, I feel with visions that I sometimes feel like some of the canon stories struggle with is I think there's a freedom to visions because it doesn't have to conform to what we think of as, or to what the canon says Star Wars is or Star Wars has to be. But also there's a freedom from expectations too. I think a lot of these stories, if they were pitched as, here's a season, we want to do a series, we want to do a long form series on this, would die in development the same way so many other Star Wars projects have over the years, because the powers that be that make those decisions are so worried about serving so many different audiences and trying to make sure Star Wars fits into all these different boxes, but is also different at the same time. And I think, so many of the projects that have come and gone and why so many of them get stuck is because they get caught in this trap. It's a trap. And they can't get out. They can't get out of it. And Visions, on the other hand, it's like, this only has to be this. This only has to be this 9 to 20 minute story. And so they can take bigger swings. They can they can take bigger risks, and they can do stories that wouldn't necessarily do if they were thinking about it as an 8 episode or a 12 episode series for Disney Plus. Now, do I think they should then take some of those stories that are successful and that clearly resonate with audiences and say, all right, let's expand this out. Let's do 6 more episodes of this story. Let's do 12 more episodes of this story. Absolutely. I think it's kind of surprising to me that Visions hasn't been used as kind of a audition process in that way. And, I would love to see, I still go back to volume 1, the 9th Jedi. Like the way that ends, that's a cliffhanger. Just screaming.
Is that the Ronin one?
No, that's the one that got the book. This is the 9th Jedi one. Is the one, there's like a twist and there's all these. It's hard.
They're on a space station. Looks like a lightsaber, and there's a kid that shows up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that one feels like that's ripe for 12 more episodes of that story. And I'm sort of surprised that we haven't heard anything about Lucasfilm going to some of these studios and going, okay, yeah, we really like that one. Really like that one. People really liked it. How about let's figure this out. Let's figure this out for a larger series, because I think there's so much here. But then again, maybe that takes away from the magic that is Star Wars Visions, because it is just a vision of what Star Wars could be. It's not meant to be the larger thing. It's just a vision.
Yeah. Well, so this goes back to kind of a couple things. They've done this, I feel like, twice before in different mediums. In the medium of comic books, I think it was called Infinities, which was a non-canon, just tell a story with Star Wars characters or Star Wars-like situations as a comic book, but it's just random.
Like, and Infinities, I think, was the ones that were like alternate, like something didn't happen.
It was like a what if. It was kind of like Marvel's what if.
Yeah.
So, and then I think what's closer to this is Star Wars Visions as a name comes from an art book. Like in 2010, there was an art book that came out called Star Wars Visions, and it was a bunch of like paintings that were done by various artists of Star Wars like characters and situations, and some of them were new. Some of them, there was like a baby Darth Maul in there, and like some like pretty interesting stuff. And so I think this is very much kind of like a series version of what that was, as just individual pieces of painted art. Star Wars Tales. No, it's Star Wars Infinities. Star Wars Tales is something different. Star Wars Infinities is much older. It's like a Dark Horse thing, or maybe even a Marvel thing.
You can
change
pretty
one
much
thing.
put anything
Okay,
behind
yeah,
any word
like what
behind
else?
Star Wars, and it's happened. It's been a thing before.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That is why we're starting to recycle titles with like
Yeah.
Tales of the Jedi and
Yeah.
Dave Filoni's movie,
Yeah.
which is going to be called Heir to the Empire, and I'm gonna die on that hill.
Star Wars Underworld has a couple different
Yeah,
things in addition to us. A comic book.
Hell,
and,
The Last Jedi was a comic book from like the
That's
Marvel
true,
run
it
in the
was.
80s. Like,
I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah. But for me, I think the answer for like what makes Star Wars is an out of universe answer. I think you can get lost in the weeds trying to define what Star Wars is by just looking at the media itself. When you look at the media itself, it's so diverse. It's very difficult to what you end up with is a cluster of various things. And so it's very difficult to say like what are the underlying traits that are within each of these things, and then how do you use that as a rule to then show that something either belongs or doesn't belong. Like I think that's such a subjective debate because there's so much media. There's no answer to that question. It really is a personal answer, which is what is Star Wars to you, and it's different for everybody. But out of universe, I think there is a very specific answer to that, which is that Star Wars is a creativity nexus that inspires people to do their best work and brings the best people into a project that possibly could come into that project. So, for example, I believe wholeheartedly that if every single IP put out a similar type of call to animation studios around the world, we're making a series of just random short non-canon animated episodes. Submit your ideas for them and we'll choose some to find to put on Disney Plus. I feel like if every single IP put that out, Star Wars would probably end up with the best stuff. There's some that could probably compete. I think this is good reason why Disney owns Star Wars, because Disney itself could just say do it with Disney properties in general, and I think they would get some good stuff. But in general, like, if you think about a lot of the other IPs out there, I don't think there's a big enough following and a big enough, like, if you ask the question, like, what is the one piece of media that inspired you to be in media? The answer is going to be Star Wars. More than it's going to have a plurality of answers. There's going to be more people answering Star Wars than anything else. It might not be the majority, but it's going to, I think, get more answers than anyone else. And so that goes back to the fact that you hear that story told over and over and over and over again about the previous generation and how, they were kids and they watched, A New Hope in theaters and they watched Star Wars in theaters. And when they saw that Death Star come over for the first time, they knew they wanted to be a filmmaker, right there. That began the process of them thinking creatively. And so that's just such a common experience for so many people that it allows, when a Star Wars project is made and it has the name Star Wars and it's Lucasfilm making it, it allows them to bring in the maximum amount of creative people. And when they bring in the maximum amount of creative people, they have their best choice of who's going to work on something. So whoever's going to direct a Star Wars movie or write a Star Wars movie or do a show for Disney Plus or make an animated short for Star Wars Visions, it's going to be the best possible people you could possibly get for that project. You're not going to compete with other projects for that. It's like a very rare situation where you end up with Benioff and Weiss, for example, getting pulled away to do a show for something else. Very rarely does that happen. Often it's going to be someone's number one priority to do Star Wars. So what really Star Wars is it's something that brings together the most creative people so that the storytelling is the best. And it's very diverse because the best people are very diverse by nature, because by being diverse, you end up making a mark on the world and making art that people resonate with. But I think the only thing that's really common among Star Wars is that it's people that when they're making their project, it is their, what's the word that they use? It's like the apex, it's their magnum opus. It's it's the apex of their career. It's the best thing. It's the thing that they've been dreaming to do. Just like every one of us, if a studio came to us and said, do you want to write something for our studio? The letter from Lucasfilm would be the thing that would get us the most excited. Same thing. And it's the same with these people as well. And it's just like how, when Hayden Christensen found out that he was going to be in Star Wars, he just called his friend and started freaking out and was swinging lightsabers around that whole story. It's the same thing. It's going to freak people out. So in a good way. So I think I think that's why I appreciate things like this, because when I'm watching these shorts, I'm realizing that the people that are making this is like the top, this is like their dream thing. This is something that they've wanted to do that they didn't even think could have been possible. Like, imagine you're like, one of these stories is from Chile, I believe. And so it's like, imagine, you're like a small animation studio in Chile, and it's like, you can impress most people on the street to name a single thing out of Chile. And when it comes to media, it's just one of many, many countries. And it's amazing, but it's one of many. It's not known as a big media center in the world, at least not in the Western and anglicized world where that Star Wars exists in. So you imagine, you have this submission form to go submit a pitch to Disney to be on Disney Plus and make a Star Wars story, and you submit your pitch, and then Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger or whoever gets back to you and is like, "We loved your pitch. Go, here's some money. Go and make this. We're gonna put it on. Here's Disney money. Plus." Go. Yeah, like imagine like the buzz in that animation studio, and like imagine the amount of like extra hours and passion and resources they're like putting into this story while they're making it. Imagine the excitement of getting it out and the excitement of having people all around the world see your work, and so many see it just because it's Star Wars and it's on Disney Plus. It's like there's no other way that would have happened. Like there's no other way that we would be here spending this much time talking about something made by an animation studio in Chile. We would have died never probably talking about it, but we didn't. We were talking about it now, and it's added to our lives in some way. We at least spent the time out of our day to watch it and appreciate their art. And
Hannah's like, I want those 19 minutes back, please.
Yeah. I mean, some people, it's not their cup of tea.
I hope they didn't listen to our show.
But at least the maximum amount of people have seen it, so that there are so many people that, if it is their cup of tea, they can enjoy it. Like if you ask me the question, what is Star Wars? What makes something Star Wars? My out of universe answer is the ability to have something that is the center of everybody's passions, where it's like the pinnacle of their career, and something that people are passionate about watching and talking about and making, so that you can end up with a situation where everybody around the world has a chance to make something that is their best work ever, their most passionate thing, that then the most amount of people can see and most amount of people can enjoy, and then they can positively impact the world in the greatest way. It's a medium that connects all of those things under just 2 words, Star Wars. And that's the only thing that makes that happen. You take the word Star Wars out of it, that process can't happen, because that's the thing that connects everything together, is that. So everything inside that nexus is what Star Wars is.
It's hard to disagree. It's hard to disagree. I think you've certainly, there's definitely something there. And I think, like you said, anybody, they show it in some of the behind the scenes, and they talked about it at Celebration. All these filmmakers, all these studios, they talked about like that moment of getting that call and going, wow, I get to put my stamp on Star Wars. However big or small that stamp may be, I get to do it. It's something special, and I think it's clear when you hear the filmmakers talk about it. They cherish that opportunity, and they cherish that the moments that they spend working in the galaxy far, far away. So we've talked about Visions for almost about 50 minutes, about 45, 50 minutes. So let's we'll move off of it for now, and I'm sure we'll continue to circle back to it in the weeks and months to come, especially as we are coming up on a quieter moment. So maybe we'll take some time to Hannah's like, God, I'm gonna have to be sick again.
So next week we will be beginning our the first 30 seconds of the first short of volume 2. We will be analyzing in detail
7 months,
and we will continue that process until we get through everything.
But
so buckle up.
Let's move on, and we'll move on from talking about what Star Wars is to talking about what the Star Wars Underworld podcast is, or rather,
Oh,
what our score. I don't know. That didn't
Wait,
work as well.
what?
Didn't work as well as I thought it was.
I was not ready for
well,
this.
what are we?
Is this
Who
your
are
secret?
we?
No. Let's dive into our scores from the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian. From volume 3 and volume 2. No, season 2 of the Bad Batch and season 3 of the Mandalorian. So let's start with Bad Batch. And so everybody listening should know this. Basically, at the end of every episode, we give our scores out of 10. And I've been logging these, and we will now see our averages, as well as what some of the highest rated episodes and lowest rated episodes were. So Ben, we're going to start with you. We're going to start with the Bad Batch season 2. Are you ready?
No.
He nodded. He nodded on a bit on this audio medium. He nodded and then said no after nodding his head yes.
I like to mix things up. People watching get a different experience than the people listening. You never know.
All right,
an
Ben.
enigma.
He is. All right, Ben. So we'll go to the Bad Batch season 2. Just to remind everybody of your scores. You gave the premiere episodes 1 and 2 an 8 out of 10. You gave episode 3 a 10 out of 10. You gave episode 4 an 8 out of 10. Episode 5 an 8 out of 10. Episode 6 a 9 out of 10. Episode 7 and 8, those are the two-parter on Coruscant, a 10 out of 10. Episode 9 a 9 out of 10. Episode 10 an 8 out of 10. Episode 11 you gave an 11 out of 10. I'm not sure that's allowed. Episode 12, you gave an 8 out of 10. Episode 13, you gave a 6.5 out of 10. Episode 14, you gave a 9.5 out of 10. And episodes 15 and 16, the finale, you gave a 10 out of 10 for an average score of 8.85.
Ooh.
How do you feel? You agree with yourself, Ben? How do you feel a month and a bit after season 2 has ended?
I think I agree. I mean, I like looking back on the Bad Batch season 2. I don't remember enjoying it that much. I genuinely, but at the same time, with me and Star Wars, it's just like
this is what I was talking about off the top. By the way, this is
okay.
But
you guys were
usually
like, we hate
speaking,
this.
like usually if I watch I forget what I don't like. Like genuinely, I'll like watch something and be like, I'll have my gripes with it, and then like 6 months later, I'm like, what is like? I'll genuinely sit. I'm like, what did I not like about Rise of Skywalker? What was it? I can't like bring it up in my mind to think about. And look, if I think about it hard enough, I can come up with some stuff. Okay, but for the most part, like the stuff that I hate usually doesn't stick with me. But I'm very curious going back and looking. Wow, that's a lot of 10 out of 10s. I don't remember those, but okay, I'll stick with it.
Yeah, let's see. You gave episode 3 a 10 out of 10. That was the first Crosshair episode, Solitary Clone. You gave 7 and 8. Again, those are the Coruscant episodes, the Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences. Episode 11, which was Metamorphosis. You gave the Zillow Beast 11 out of 10.
Well, that's a very biased rating. But I stand by it.
Fair enough. And then the finale, the Summit and Plan 99, you gave a 10 out of 10. So, so your highest rated episode was episode 11 with the 11 out of 10. Your lowest score was episode 13, which was the, what episode was that? That was
That's
Pabu.
Benny, wasn't it?
No, that was Pabu. You
Betty
gave that
liked Betty.
Oh my God.
a 6.5. All right. Chris, you're up next. You're
purposely doing me last, aren't you?
No.
I mean, I'm just going in alphabetical order. All right, Chris.
Yeah.
Episodes 1 and 2, the premiere, you gave an 8.5. Episode 3, you gave a 9. Episode 4, you gave a 7. Episode 5, you gave a 5. Which was very convenient, very helpful. Episode 6, you gave an 8. Episode 7 and 8, you gave a 10. Episode 9, you gave an 8. Episode 10, you gave a 9. Episode 11, you gave a 10. Episode 12, you gave an 11. So from episode 9 to episode 12, your scores went 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, it kept getting better.
Episode 13, you gave an 8. Episode 14, you gave a 10. And episodes 15 and 16, you gave a 10. For an average score of 8.69. Nice.
Wow.
What, agree? Disagree? How do you feel?
Yeah, that seems accurate to me. I think if I had to if you put me on the spot and said give a score to the entire season, I would say 9 out of 10, which that rounds up to. So I think that's fair. 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, your highest rated episode was episode 12, which was the Outpost, the Crosshair in the Snow episode.
I love that episode.
It's pretty great. And your lowest rated episode was episode 5, Entombed, which was the Indiana Jones episode.
The Star Wars Rebels and the Temple of Gloom. I could not stand that episode.
And yet you still gave it a 5.
Right, because for me, the worst Star Wars is still average. So
there.
You have to be. I don't know what pile of garbage you have to be to give me for me to give it a 0 out of 10. I don't even know if that type of media would see. The problem about media is that if you're that bad, you're gonna have redeeming qualities for being bad. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is like a 7 out of 10 movie because it's so terrible that it's fun to watch.
Oh God.
Oh man.
I cannot bring myself to even acknowledge the existence of that movie. It hurts my soul. Can't be Winnie the Pooh.
And yet you used a pronoun to refer to an antecedent, which is effectively of that movie.
Huh? I don't. I'm not. No. We're not doing.
Just forget it. Just forget it.
Within grammar.
We're not doing Chris's
God.
linguistic corner.
I'm
here.
still figuring out AOL, owl, server.
Gonna be a lot of Googling after this episode.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do my scores next. I wasn't gonna save you for last, Hannah, but then you said you thought I was doing that, so now I am gonna do that.
Spite me.
Yeah, just purely out of spite. All
It
right,
is alphabetical. B, C, D, and
H.
then H.
Yeah, there we go.
So
yeah,
fair enough.
Okay, so episodes 1 and 2, the premiere, I gave 7 out of 10. Episode 3, I gave 10 out of 10. Episode 4, 7 out of 10. Episode 5, 8 out of 10. Episode 6, 9 out of 10. Episode 7 and 8, a 10 out of 10. Episode 9, an 8.5. Episode 10, a 10 out of 10. Episode 11, an 8. Episode 12, a 10. Episode 13, a 9. Episode 14, an 8. And episodes 15 and 16, a 10. For an average score of 8.81. 0.04 lower than Ben's score.
We really do. We're sharing a brain.
0.4 lower than Ben's. How the hell did that happen?
I
that
swear
doesn't
I
make
like
sense.
this better than y'all too. I think it's because the episodes I like better, but not the episodes I didn't.
The other thing is I didn't give any over 10s out of 10s. I capped myself at a 10 out of 10.
I'm so surprised you.
Yeah. But I think
go low though.
Here, let me do a quick experiment. If I change Ben's 11 out of 10 to a 10, yeah, that brings you down to an 8.77. So it's that going over 100%.
Now you've just encouraged me. You've given me the keys to cause chaos even further with the scores.
Next week, Ben's next season, Ben's like, yeah, this one's a 15, this one's an
yes,
18,
I will give it a negative
37.
150 points, please.
Ben's goal is to cause chaos. So for me, the highest rated episodes obviously were the finale, episode 12, episode 10. Let's see, what was 12? 12 was the Outpost. 10 was Retrieval. That was Benny and the Communists. 7 and 8 and 3. The lowest score I gave 2 7s. Those were the lowest scores. That was for the premiere and for the tech racing episode, which was called Faster. It wasn't faster. It wasn't more intense. It got a 7. All right. The moment we've all been waiting for. Hannah's Bad Batch scores.
I know. I'm so nervous.
Hannah, for the premiere for episodes 1 and 2, you gave an 8 out of 10. For episode 3, you gave it a 9 out of 10. For episode 4, 8 out of 10. Episode 5, 6.5 out of 10. Episode 6, 9 out of 10. Episode 7 and 8, 10 out of 10. Episode 9, 7 out of 10. Episode 10, 6.5. Episode 11, 8.5. Episode 12, 8. Episode 13, 5. Episode 14, 9. And the finale, a 7.5 for an average score of 7.85. How do you feel?
That feels right on. That because it really is, there's some great episodes. I really love those Chuchi episodes, the Coruscant ones. Like those are 10 out of 10s. But then there is so much of the season which are like, yeah, 5s and 6s, definitely. So yeah, that feels spot on. I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so your highest rated episodes were the Chuchi episodes, the Coruscant ones. That was your only 10 out of 10 for the season.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
lowest
I
rated
stand by that.
lowest rated score, episode 13, which again was Pabu, where you gave a 5
Really? Did
out of
I
10.
score that lower than the Benny episode?
Yes. What was the Benny episode? Benny episode was episode 10. Episode 10, you gave a 6.52.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Like, yeah, okay. Fair enough. So
wow. Oh, wow.
So highest rated episodes were 7 and 8. The Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences, which just ran the table, got 10s out of 10. Just 10 out of 10. Perfect score, no notes. And the lowest rated episode was Entombed, episode 5, which had an average score of 6.88. I'm not sure if that's the lowest average score we've ever given an episode, but it might be. And I'll just say you're all wrong.
I'm glad I contributed to being right.
And average score from all of us across the season, 8.55 for season 2.
Still rounds up to a 9 out of 10, so I agree.
Although with that one, I'm pretty sure with that one you round down. That one you round down just to an 8.5. You round down to an 8. Well, you'd round up to an 8.6, which would then whatever.
Even if you cut the remainder off, 5s always round up.
Yeah. Well, I was rounding it to an 8.5.
Why was I so sure of that until I said that? That was weird. Look at deja vu. It's like my brain was like, yes, 5s always round up, and then I'm like, wait, what am I referring to?
What am I saying?
What game am I referring to? There's got to be a game somewhere where 5s always round up.
All right, let's do Mando season 3 now. Let's do Mando season 3, and we'll go in reverse alphabetical order this time.
Oh, yay! Okay.
So Hannah, we'll start with you. You gave the premiere a 7.5, episode 2 an 8.5, episode 3 a 7, episode 4 a 9.5, episode 5 an 8, episode 6 a 6, episode 7 a 9, and the finale an 8.5. For an average score of 8.00. That's right, an exact average of 8 out of 10.
Wow, that they're a little on the high side. I feel like I should be more around 7.5, but that makes sense. That Keller and Beck episode really pumped it up. I really love that one.
Yeah, that episode exists. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that.
8. All right, so 8 out of 10. That's your score for the season. Yeah. For me, I gave the premiere 7 out of 10. Gave episode 2 8 out of 10. Episode 3 a 9.5. Episode 4, the aforementioned Keller and Beck episode, which I don't consider it the Keller and Beck episode. I consider it the stupid Monster Hunt episode. Gave a 5 out of 10
it's
to.
Such a good story.
So
it's such
bad.
a good adventure.
It's so bad.
Oh.
So waste of an episode. Episode 5, I gave an 8.52. Episode 6 a 7.5. Episode 7 a 9.5, and the finale a 9.5 for an average score of 8.06, 0.6 higher than Hannah. So we're more or less in agreement on the season, and I think the disagreement lies almost entirely on that episode we were just arguing about.
So the best episode of season 3.
It's apparently makes a 0.6 difference in our score and our feelings about season 2 in this highly unscientific poll that we do based entirely on our feelings on any given week.
That is what a poll is.
I know, but like there should be like more questions to it. There's no criteria. There's no like, we're not like going like, well, I thought the acting was really good, but the writing was weak and the effects were great and the directing was good. Like there's none of that. It's just like,
do you think this is Dancing with the Stars?
Maybe it should be. Maybe it should be.
It should be. Yeah, I agree.
Should be. And Ben will teach us all how to dance because he's got the best.
I'm just gonna sit in a swivel chair and I'll turn it around anytime I don't like the episode.
Okay, we're changing. We're
George.
changing. Yeah, we're
Why are we
changing
the
reality
voice
shows.
now?
They're all the same to me.
Did you really wait? How would that work? They would dance,
I'm
and just
sorry,
by the
but
sound of their dancing, they
that-
would go, "You know what? That footwork sounds great. Let me see it."
that
Then
foxtrot was
spin around.
absolute garbage. I don't know what, that's a 1 out of 10 for me. You don't know how to foxtrot.
Who are you mimicking, Chris? Who are you impersonating?
Was his name George? The guy who was like the Simon Cowell of Dancing with the Stars. He was like a British dude, I think. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe I just made a British because
generic
Simon's British.
British man. All right, I love it.
There's another British person other than Simon Cowell. I'm shocked. Shocked.
It was like an obvious copy. It's like we got to get a classy but mean person to be one of the judges.
Classy but mean. All right.
That singing sounded like someone threw a cat out the window. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
That's my favorite. Throw a bloody cat out the window.
Okay, Chris,
man.
let's get to your scores here. Let's go. You gave the premiere a 6 out of 10. You gave episode 2 an 8 out of 10. Episode 3 a 9 out of 10. Episode 4 a 9 out of 10. Episode 5 a 9 out of 10. Episode 6 a 9 out of 10. Episode 7 a 9 out of 10. Episode 8 a 9 out of 10.
Wait,
right?
no way.
6 straight 9s.
What?
Wow, you love this season.
I wish I was playing like poker or something.
Just spamming 9 the entire time.
For an average score of 8.5. 8.5. That's your score. Agree, disagree? Are you right? Do you agree with yourself? Do you disagree with yourself? How do you feel?
I thought it would be lower. Because I like Bad Batch way more, and it looks like the spread was only 0.19 points.
Yep.
So
yep.
I think what really got me is, again, like there were a few episodes that I absolutely really did not feel the Bad Batch that really dragged my score down from the Bad Batch. Like you take those out and it's probably over a 9. So that kind of like tricked me a little bit. So what it shows me is that Mandalorian, while I didn't like it as much, it was a lot more consistent. There weren't episodes that I like thought were terrible. And as a result, like the score was still pretty high for everything.
Yeah.
So more consistent season, but the highs were not as high.
Well, when it comes to highs and lows, nobody swung quite as high or as low as Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy. Ben,
no.
You gave episode 1 an 8 out of 10. You gave episode 2 a 9 out of 10. You gave episode 3 an 8.5. Episode 4 an 8. Episode 5, you gave the one and only 10 of the entire season to. And you followed that up by giving episode 6 a 1 out of 10. Episode 7, you gave a 9. Episode 8, you gave a 9 for an average score of 7.81.
Wow.
Which I'm just gonna double check. I'm pretty sure is the lowest average score we've had for as long as we've been doing this. Because lowest score for Book of Boba Fett was me with 7.93. Lowest score for Andor was Hannah with 7.85. Lowest score for Bad Batch was Hannah with 7.85. That seems to be your go-to. And Ben, Mando season 3, 7.81. Basically all coming down. The season hinged on episode 6 for you. How do you feel about this average?
I absolutely stand by it. I absolutely do. Because after the episode, I'm like, did I overreact? And I was like, yeah, maybe, but I stand by it because I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, nah, I'm not crazy. That was actually I'm 100%. I would do it again tomorrow if I could. Okay.
Is this the Jack Black episode?
Yes.
It's not because of Jack Black, but yes, it is.
Yeah,
Jack Black.
but yeah.
It's
but,
totally because of Lizzo, then. I'm just trying to get you canceled.
We've canceled Ben like 5 times already this show.
Yeah, I feel like at this point I'm uncancelable because I've already been canceled.
What did we all give this episode again?
Which one? The Lizzo
I gave
one?
it a high score.
Yeah.
The Jack Black Lizzo ones. Okay, so
Loved
on
it.
that one, Hannah, you gave it a 6. I gave it 7.5. Chris, you gave it a 9.
Yes.
On that episode, Kieran was also there in my little video thing because that was one of the ones I was in celebration for.
That's right.
He also gave it a 6.
Where did I go? I'm so sorry.
You got Order 66. That's because you have the Order 66 thing up in the background, and they're after you.
Yeah, they're coming for you. Kieran gave it.
Wars accurate there.
Kieran gave it 6, and then Ben, you gave it 1. And I will reveal that episode 6, which was called, what was it called? Guns for Hire. Had the lowest average score.
Nothing to do with the title. That had nothing to do with the episode. Like, it was not connected at all.
Finn and Bo are kind of guns for hire for Jack Black and Lizzo in that one, in the sense that they're seeking out. They're seeking out.
Okay, here's another thing.
background.
Here's another thing that's bad about the episode. So every other episode starts with the something, but it's just guns for hire. Just you just gotta ruin. It's just seriously
because it's the Mandalorian. Ben.
Jeez, bad.
And
Real
episode has to
petulance.
start with the because
the. I mean,
the
it could have been.
Mandalorian.
It could have been the guns for hire, but that doesn't sound as good.
No, it's guns for the hire.
Guns for the hire.
Properly.
For the hire. What's his name? Crazy old man. What's his name? Yeah, that guy.
Crazy old man.
He had 2 scenes. He had one scene where he's like, "I'm not bad. I'm doing good." The next scene he was in was, "Whoops, I was bad."
No. He thought he was good all the time. He thought he was good all the time. He just was, he thought Count Dooku was good too, so that calibration's a little bit off. Also, before I forget, I was referring to the late, great Len Goodman, who sadly passed away 3 weeks ago. So, rest in peace.
When were you referring to him?
The British guy on Dancing with the Stars. I remembered it correctly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He was British, but his name was not George. I forgot that that's not the name of every person in Britain, and they're not all named after the king.
There's at least one guy named Charles. That's what I've learned.
They're not all named after the king. That is amazing.
My bad for thinking every British gentleman over the age of 70 is named George. I should not stereotype like that. I apologize.
There we go.
His name is Len. Len Good.
Also a very British name. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of lowest scores, that was episode 6, The Guns for the Hire, which had an average score of 5.9. So there you go, Ben. Well done.
How dare you guys? The episode was great. I almost gave it a 10 out of 10. There was just one little tiny issue I had with it. I can't even remember what it was now. It's just like a continuity thing or something.
Oh, that hurts.
There was something that like one little thing I didn't like. It was very small and I couldn't give
Was
it a
it the
10 out of 10.
I think something to do with the nano droids or something.
Maybe there was like something
that dialogue there or something.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. There was something in it that didn't make sense, and I couldn't give it a perfect score. But
one tiny thing.
Until we got to that point, I was like, "This episode is perfect." Like, oh my god,
There's a lot of doesn't make sense.
It's like Metropolis, but like Star Wars. Like, just so down for the futurism. It was like Epcot. It was like they're inside Epcot. Like
it was like they were inside Epcot.
Yeah,
it was very much so. And the highest rated episode for this season was episode 7, The Spies, which had an average score of 9.2, and that does include the.
Know who the spies are.
Yeah, that does include the scores that Rob.
It's a
and
biblical
Chris
reference. There was never any spies. We were all stupid.
That is true. That is true. That is the one point this season where Jon Favreau outsmarted us all. And the average
the only
score
point in this season.
I like insmarting. I'm sorry.
I don't know what that means. The average score this season was 8.09. 8.09, the average score for us for The Mandalorian. So what does that tell us? Absolutely nothing. I have no idea.
You thought it was good. 8 is
good. Yeah.
It wasn't that good though.
8 is good. 9 is great. 10 is like phenomenal. That's
Oh yeah, I'll keep that. I'll take that. It's good. It's like
like again, we'll put it in context. The average for Bad Batch was 8.55. Andor was 8.96. And
wow, I'm surprised that didn't crack the 9.
Take it.
And Book of Boba Fett was 8.39 was our average.
So the Andor got the highest score ever?
Andor got the highest, followed by Bad Batch, followed by Book of Boba, then Mando season 3.
Despite.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
I'm sorry. I'm too
there we
competitive with these things. I apologize.
There we go. That's the those are the scores. All right. Let's check in on a couple of news stories. We've already talked a lot about Star Wars Visions, and unsurprising to nobody, the rumor has it that a third season, a third volume, is in development. Jeff Snyder, who broke the news about the Damon Lindelof, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy movie, he tweeted on May 4th, rumor in honor of May the 4th be with you, hearing that season 3 of Star Wars Visions, all capitals, is already in the works. Season 2 debuted today. So, Hannah, strap yourself in for another ride.
Yes.
How are they more onto this than talking about the Tales of the Jedi, continuation? Like, how are they more? I know it wasn't like an official announcement, but it was like, someone official enough to be like, oh, this is valid. But it's just like, really? Like, they're so gun-ho about Visions. They're like, yeah, season 3, let's go. It's like, the reception of Tales of the Jedi wasn't enough for you? What?
I mean, they announced Tales of the Jedi, though. Like, that's happening. We know it's happening.
But they took a while.
It's just not happening fast enough for Hannah.
How long it takes
a while.
Damn it, Lucasfilm, where's my Tales of the Jedi? I wanted it yesterday.
Maybe they feel like it's less important to do PR about it because people just know it's good.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, whatever. another season I'll begrudgingly watch. And
I think you need to be mad at Jeff Snyder and not Lucasfilm.
Because they made it kind of clear that the point of Tales of the Jedi is to develop people, and so I think that it's kind of, they were clear we don't have to wait for it to be announced every season. It's just going to be their development project that is always going to be ongoing because you have to have a development project.
There you go.
At least once you've decided it's a good thing to have.
True. Speaking of things that Hannah just loves, Andor. Let's talk about Andor.
Yes,
yay! Hooray!
Andor won a Peabody Award this week. It won a Peabody
Award.
Should have gotten 10.
In the entertainment category for 2022, the Peabody Awards website says this about Andor following its win: few other long-running franchises loom as large in today's contemporary pop culture imagination than Star Wars. Yet amid stories of destiny-driven heroes and doomed superpowered villains, Tony Gilroy's Andor tackles that familiar galaxy with plenty of spectacle, but also a keen-eye commitment to mirroring our own mundane trials and tribulations as it follows scavenger Cassian Andor, Diego Luna, who unwittingly becomes radicalized in the wake of a police state intent on crushing any and all signs of the Rebel Alliance. And that's why it won the Peabody Award.
Dang, it's interesting using non-Star Wars terms to refer to Star Wars.
Yeah, right? So yeah, it won the Peabody
Award.
It's
almost like it's apocryphal.
Now, Andor won the Peabody Award for season 1. Season 2 is, of course, filming right now in the UK, but it's going to be filming without its showrunner on set. This was a report from the Hollywood Reporter this week. Tony Gilroy has stepped away from his producing duties on Andor to stand in solidarity with the Writers Guild of America, who are currently on strike. Gilroy is, of course, a member of the WGA, so he wasn't able to do any writing, but as the showrunner, he also does a bunch of producing stuff, which is a different part of it. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Tony Gilroy has told the Hollywood Reporter, so it's not even a report, he just told them, that he's no longer performing any non-writing duties for Andor, the Disney Plus show he created and runs. In a statement, Gilroy responded to criticism that he received from fellow Writers Guild members for performing such services during the WGA's strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents the studios and streamers. The critique of the Andor creator and executive producer came after it was reported on Friday that Gilroy, whose scripts for season 2 of the Star Wars series were completed, was still contributing producing services, including casting and music-related duties. Gilroy says he was not present on the show's set and hasn't been since the strike began on May 2nd. Quote, I discontinued all writing and writing-related work on Andor prior to midnight, May 1. After being briefed on the Saturday showrunner meeting, I informed Chris Kaiser of the WGA on Sunday morning that I would also be ceasing all non-writing producing functions. Gilroy said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter. When reached by phone Tuesday, Kaiser, the co-chair of the WGA's negotiating committee, confirmed his conversations with Gilroy. Lucasfilm, which produces Andor, declined to comment. Shocking. All right, so the strike is having its impact, and Tony Gilroy stepping away, doing the right thing. I'll throw in from my point of view at least, and not being there. So it's going to be all these shows that are still filming. It's going to be fascinating to watch them when they come out, especially if this strike goes on for as long as it seems the WGA is saying that they're ready to strike for, because a lot of writing does happen after the scripts are quote unquote done, and you're not allowed to do that right now. You have to say the words exactly as they're written on the page, and you have to act exactly how it's written on the page. You can't be tweaking anything. So we'll see
So
how
actors can't write?
I guess not.
They can't just be like, I'm going to write that I say this differently without writing it.
But what if they're not a part of the WGA?
I mean, I'm sure all this stuff is
WAG or WGA?
WGA.
Okay.
I'm sure all this stuff is contracted out, but I like it's all like, there's all these rules and stuff. But I think
they would be part of the SAGAFTRA.
Yeah, and a lot of like SAG and the DGA and stuff, a lot of them are standing in solidarity with the Writers Guild. So, we'll maybe because like that, I think Jenna Ortega was getting a little bit of crap from the WGA because she always talks about like come up with improvs to like improve the scripts and to punch it up and stuff. And like I'm genuinely curious, like could an actor still do that now? I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. Or are they not allowed to do it? I guess it's probably what it is more likely the director can't say, how you say I'm really happy in this scene, try saying I'm really excited in this scene, like that sort of thing probably can't happen. If the actor does it independently, maybe, but I don't know. Also probably things like it's also the stage direction too, so you have to look left when the script says look left. You can't look up instead. It is wild. It's wild, but yeah,
that is wild.
It's really limiting.
Can't help but feel bad for the people in the middle. Like, I don't feel bad for the executives because they could make this, they could clear all this up very quickly and very easily if they wanted to. And I don't, obviously I feel bad for the people at the other end, but like everyone caught in the middle that's just trying to do their job. And oh yeah, by the way, your boss just left, and now this set's a mess, and you're an actor, you're just trying to do your job, and you're caught in the middle. It's gonna be an awkward few weeks, months, however long it takes to get this done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Keeping it going. This is my favorite kind of story here. This is where Kathleen Kennedy tells us that stuff is still happening, but has no updates for us. This comes from Empire Magazine. There's the last of the Kathleen Kennedy quotes have rolled out this week, where she gave little updates on all the stuff that didn't get like big updates on during Celebration, about Taika Waititi's movie, which we talked about last week, is in a confusing place because people wrote confusing articles. Kathy said, Taika is working away. He's just, and he won't get mad at me for saying this, slow. We've got a couple of acts. We need a third. So it's still being written. Sounds like it's a ways away. On Rogue Squadron and Lando, she said Lando is still on the books and Rogue Squadron is still on the books. We just want them to be great. Okay. That's basically where we've been for coming up on 3 years now. And speaking of places we've been for coming up on, let's say 6 years now. Rian Johnson's trilogy. Kathy said, Ryan and I talk all the time. He just keeps getting more and more successful, and it keeps moving things back further and further. One day we'll figure this out. There it is. I don't know.
I I mean, I guess it makes sense if you ask like a million people to do a Star Wars project and you just assume that some of them are just going to do it at some point, and there's so many people doing it that you have movies come out. I guess that strategy kind of makes sense, but dang, I've never seen this before, and that's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's the throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks kind of method of
statistically speaking, there will be a human person who will do a Star Wars movie in the near future. That's an announcement.
This goes back to, you know, what I've said is in order for her to be able to employ this strategy, Star Wars has to be so incredibly successful outside of the films, which there's no indication that it's not. I mean, looking at the Disney Plus numbers and how much content is coming through that and how many people are subscribed to Disney Plus, looking at the merchandising, looking at the parks, looking at all these other things, like it has to be one of their top things, despite not having like $1 billion film every few years. And so yeah, because otherwise it would be very confusing why this would be okay.
Yeah, I mean, if each of us thinks about how much money we spend on Star Wars stuff every year,
this shirt was $5. That's right, half the price of a sandwich.
There you go, and it's just as edible as
how
that.
Expensive are your sandwiches? Oh my lord!
It's
weird,
harsh reality.
That's how you know if an episode was really good. It's like, is it a whole sandwich out of 10? That's how good it is.
I also I'm excited to see what Hannah's actual house looked like, and to realize that the Star Wars background was fake the whole time.
Yeah,
it was actually
for people... yeah, you want to play you a number?
This is actual.
It's funny how you walk further into the background but stay the same size. That's interesting how that's there's no perspective.
I'm still walking. It's just a long way away.
Something sus going on here.
For everybody who's just listening, Hannah's been through about, I'm going to say 27 different virtual backgrounds over the course of this show.
This is the real one, though. This is the real one. She's finally just given up, and this is the actual one.
Yeah, this is what her house actually looks like.
Okay.
She just took a picture of her house and then put it as the background, like those people on the late night shows who take a picture of like the New York City and then put it on a fake background behind them, like because they are in New York, but there's a concrete wall behind them in reality.
They're not in a massive building.
I mean, I think they are in a massive building, just with a concrete wall behind them.
So they make it feel like there's windows.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the city behind their like sets, but it's actually screens because otherwise, you know, lighting and that. Because they actually film during the day. I think most late night shows are filmed when it's light outside and then they air during the night. So to make it look like night, they show the night city in the background, but it's fake.
That makes so much sense. I've been so
just
worried
ruined my
about
childhood, don't you?
Yeah. I was like, if I ever go on a late night show, I don't know if I could be as lively as I am at like midnight. I don't know if I could do that.
Well,
it's a real
Saturday
concern.
Night Live, because Saturday Night Live is actually live. Unless they're lying about that too, which I don't think they are.
Okay. No. All right, what else we got? Dave Filoni's movie, or more accurately, the New Republic era as a whole, aka the Mandoverse. He was asked, Filoni was asked by Empire Magazine about Grand Admiral Thrawn. They asked him, do you see Thrawn as the big bad of this New Republic era? Is that how you're positioning him? Filoni replied, he definitely is the bad guy in the New Republic era in my eyes. When Tim Zahn wrote Heir to the Empire, Thrawn became this very iconic villain because he was different than anything we'd seen before. He wasn't another helmet-wearing, lightsaber-wielding bad guy, you know? He was. There was a lot to pull to make characters that are like Vader because it's so iconic. But the boldness that Tim had was to make somebody that wasn't like that didn't have those abilities, but could fight in a different way. In the words of Star Wars, the war part of it him being a Grand Admiral, a leader, a military strategist, a Moriarty archetype, someone who will outthink you and out-strategize you, that really resonated. He's a critical player in this time period. We're fortunate to have that character and fortunate to have Lars Mikkelsen playing him. Now, I just clicked back to see what Hannah's background was because I was reading the story. I wasn't ready.
And just joining us on the show, it's the man himself.
Or are you just really tiny, Hannah?
Yeah, a giant Dave Filoni.
I don't know if I can speak to much to that comment.
Wow, it's amazing how Filoni. I didn't realize he's a ventriloquist too. He can make his mouth just throw it, and without moving his mouth,
he can throw his voice all the way to Australia. It's incredible.
Oh wow,
it's incredible. Thrawn is the villain. What a shocker. I don't know. People always like to speculate with Star Wars things. Thrawn's not actually going to be the villain. He's really gonna be some kind of anti-hero kind of thing. I like that Dave just came out and said, nah, he's the villain. He's the bad guy. He's the antagonist for all of this. It's one of those things. Sometimes I think we try to outsmart these things and outthink them when really the most straightforward answer is the correct one, which is Thrawn, traditionally a villain, will be a villain in these stories.
Well, I think, there has been I will say there has been perhaps a tweaking of the characterization of Thrawn in the canon as opposed to Legends. Yeah, and I think it has been Wait, what?
So I thought you were going to pause there. So I was going to say expand on that.
Well, I'll let you expand as soon as I'm finished. Now I'm just throwing off. Now I can't.
You're really tiny right now.
No, sorry, I'm so sorry. I was like saying, keep talking.
All I'm going to say is there has been a noticeable change in just he didn't join the Empire because he believed in the Empire. He joined the Empire because he was looking out for the Chiss ascendancy and he was looking out for his people, and he didn't really like the Empire or whatever else, and that may be just a reading of the situation and the reading of literally of what Timothy Zahn has written in the past or in the past few years because he's expanded a lot on Thrawn's backstory. But I like that. He worked for the Empire. He did a lot of bad things. He's the bad guy.
He is.
That's what the Billie Eilish song is about.
Famously, it's about Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
That's how the lyrics goes. I'm trying to think if I can remember the lyrics enough to rewrite them to be about.
I just remember that.
I just remember that's actually. Then I'm the bad guy. I don't think there's any other lyrics.
No, I guess
the bad guy, but bad has effects on it, so I can't do it. I sound like a sheep if I do it.
Bad guy, like the weird ass sheep in Andor.
Yeah. How would you just
the bad guy?
How would you describe those sheep, Ben? How would you describe those Andor sheep?
Oh, you mean the horny sheep? Yeah, the horny sheep.
Yeah, those ones.
I love those horny sheep. Those are my favorite Star Wars characters. Those horny sheep.
Love it.
And damn it, I'm canceled for the 8th time. Damn it.
8th time in one show.
You only have 9 lives, Cat Man. You only have 1 left.
Look, I'm just going to delete this episode after we're done, okay? I can't. My career can't take this, okay?
How do we have animal sheep? And then we have goat men.
Okay. The same reason why Goofy can have Pluto.
No, Goofy's a cow. Goofy's not a dog.
But the cow has a pet dog?
Yes! It's a world with a talking mouse. Of course, the cow has a pet dog.
Do the horny sheep come from the Godel planet? Are they like cousins or something? I need to know these things. Okay, this is important questions.
Ben's connection corner. Connection in the corner with Ben. It's Ben's connection corner. Do. Bop, bop. All right. Final news story for this week, and then we'll get on to a couple other things. Boba Fett, where? Don't ask Robert Rodriguez because he's not going to tell you. The Book of Boba Fett executive producer was interviewed by IO9, and they asked him about the future of the show as well as the character in the Mandoverse / New Republic era. And he said, I can't say. I'm sworn to secrecy. I wish I could tell you. I know all the answers that you're asking, but I can't say.
So you're saying there's a chance. So
Yeah.
there's actually a secret. There's something. I take this as like something is happening. Something is going on. Otherwise, I feel like he would just go like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Don't ask me because I don't know what's going on. Like he's saying like straight up like, yeah, I know what's going to happen and I can't tell you. I'm like, okay, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I think it I don't take this as strongly as like, oh yeah, Book of Boba Fett season 2, but I definitely feels like there's some sort of involvement in an upcoming project that Boba must be in, whether that's figuring out what is he majorly involved in the movie, the Dave Filoni movie, but that's like years away. So it really is interesting. But I'm like, I felt like there would have been more kind of signals of a Boba Fett season 2. So it's really interesting. I don't know how to read this comment.
I at this point I'm not super hopeful for Boba Fett season 2. I'm kind of losing hope in that. It could always happen, but things I think he's still a character in this universe. He's still active out there somewhere, and we even got a mention of him in season 3. So like, I think the chances I think we're going to see him show up. I think they know where he's going to show up next. I wouldn't even put it past Lucasfilm to like be a little strategic with this and not see so haphazard and be like, yeah, we had a lot of Boba Fett for a very short amount of time. He showed up in season 2. He had his own show. Then he came back, and so we had a lot of Boba Fett in a short amount of time. Maybe we're taking a break from Boba Fett, but he'll be back. I'm going to go out on a limb because I was thinking like, okay, where could he show up next? Obviously, I think Mandalorian season 4 is a kind of, I think he could show up there definitely. But I'm like, could he show up in Ahsoka? Probably not. I think the kids in Skeleton Crew may end up on Tatooine.
Oh yeah,
and could run into Boba. I think that's a real possibility.
That's a great idea.
I like that. That would be fun. That'd be cool.
He'll be back like before. He'll have his own house on Mandalore.
Oh,
what the hell?
That was good. That was good.
Where else are we gonna get stories about Grogu and Luke and the Mandalorian if we don't get another season of Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, that's the only way it's happening. Only way it's happening.
Season 3.5B or something. I don't know.
All right, let's move on. And it's time. It is now. What time is it? It's super chat o'clock.
It's not a super time.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't mute fast enough. Sorry.
The blue shadow virus.
Yeah. Best.
I think we should also. I think the proper name for this is the Pulse of Fandom. That's my best impression of the old intro we did like 10 years ago.
One person was like, I remember that.
That same person is also going to be very happy when we bring back the rapping Jawa.
Yo, listen up, fools. Star Wars is a registered trademark of Lucasfilm Limited.
Incredible.
Please don't sue us. No suing going on here. Yeah, peace out, bros.
I think Ben just got canceled again.
I told you I can't. I'm uncancelable now.
All right, let's. So as we said off the top, we're gonna we want to make sure we're engaging everybody who's listening to the show, and one of the ways we do that is with super chats. We're gonna have a special segment. It may be called the Pulse of Fandom. We may come up with a different name. I don't know. We're gonna figure that out. Obviously, we're gonna expand this beyond just super chats. So for everybody who doesn't listen live, you'll have an opportunity to weigh in future weeks. And the place that's going to be primarily is on Discord. So if you haven't joined the Star Wars Underworld Discord yet, do it. But for this week,
be looking in the because you kind of go down in the Discord, and there's in the kind of the section you have general Star Wars discussion, you have the Everything Goes section, and then you go further down and there's sections for each individual podcast on the network. check out the one for Star Wars Underworld. Just check it out.
Check it out. Do it. All right. First super chat this week from Joel. Joel says, what I love about Visions is that it's able to boil down Star Wars to brass tacks and deliver some really good, relatable human stories.
What is the brass tacks, though? This is the question.
The brass tacks. The brass tacks. You're gonna pay the brass tacks every time you're cooking.
Wait,
you guys know this song?
No.
Oh, jeez. There is an age gap. There is a major age gap here.
I thought this was just because you are Australian.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah,
Can you just go over that piano and play it for us?
The most, yeah. This was like the most viral song on TikTok like 2 months ago. You guys, where are you going?
I do not watch the TikTok very often.
As you guys are gonna find out, I do watch TikTok, but I think we have very different things.
Different sides of it, I guess.
Very different parts of TikTok.
It's almost like the internet is a vast place where things can go viral and you still won't see them.
It's true.
Okay, fair enough. What were we saying on Joel's very serious super chat?
The brass tacks. Brass tacks.
Visions got a tax on Star Wars. What was it?
The taxation of trade routes to the outlying systems is in dispute. That's all I know.
2 Jedi Knights out.
Yeah.
Human stories. Yeah, even though I have a gross uninterest and an unenjoyment of Visions, relatable human stories. I can make that connection there.
Yeah,
I've kind of lost what I was saying and the point of what I was saying.
I mean,
someone take over.
I think that they're definitely relatable stories. I think it's interesting how there was 2 about Kyber. I thought that was interesting because it's very much about resources. I saw a lot of similarities between the Pit and the Benny episode of Star Wars, the Bad Batch.
Probably why the Pit is my favorite episode from the season. It genuinely is. I really love that one. I thought it was great.
How many bowls of soup was in that episode?
So many bowls of soup.
They weren't eating. The characters weren't eating. How did they not die? No one was eating.
They survived off the love they feel for one another.
Oh, come on.
That was a tragic episode.
It was. I think the other thing that I wanted to say about Visions when we were talking about it, but it didn't really come up, was what sort of stood out to me about this season is how much more of a role the Empire played in it. Like the Empire is barely in season 1. And I think that's kind of a reflection on the different studios and the different countries that those studios come from, because a lot of those places experienced colonization, or in the case of France, occupation by the Nazis. And so they feel like you feel that a lot more in these stories, and the Empire is much more of a presence in them because the storytellers are drawing from their country's histories and their own experiences and putting that Star Wars twist on it. And if you want to represent an empire like America, British Empire, those sorts of things, what better thing to represent it with than the Empire? So, so all that to say, agree. Brass tacks, relatable human stories.
And ultimately, Star Wars is despite having a lot of droids and aliens and weird stuff, it's at its core, it's a human story. Like it's 100% about the human experience, and dark side and light side is about our own emotions and how we deal with them and how we put good and bad into the world and all this kind of stuff. And George Lucas, just look up a video of George Lucas talking about Star Wars. He'll outline all of this in great detail. But ultimately, it's again coming at this from a different perspective. It's like every single person on this one little tiny planet has a different view on things, and how we view Star Wars being an examination of the human experience. Also, every human experience is different. So I think Visions gives a unique little vision, pardon the pun, to look through and see what we can do with that.
Felt like I was listening to Dr. Benjamin, the Star Wars professor, Man, right there.
Professor Man.
I had a vision.
No, it's just the way you were talking about the human condition. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a lecture.
Really, really
It's deep.
soothing, actually.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice.
It's deep. It was good.
Well,
Next
you,
up,
you see now. No.
That's awesome.
What a perfect place for your video to freeze, man.
Awesome.
Next one comes from Orange Juice Dude. It was referring to when Chris was talking about Visions being in the top 75 percentile of Star Wars, and wants to know what's in the bottom percentage. Hot takes only.
So what's worse than Star Wars Visions?
Yeah.
I swear, if you mention Book of Boba Fett, Chris.
Definitely. Book of Boba Fett is definitely worse than Star Wars Visions. I mean, that's saying like I went to a 5-star restaurant and had like the best tiramisu dessert ever, and oh, by the way, Cheesecake Factory is worse than that. Like obviously being worse than Visions is not a knock.
I was gonna say, why do you have to bring Cheesecake Factory in?
I know, because Cheesecake Factory is really good, right? That's the whole point. I brought up something that is good, but it's obviously not Michelin good.
But what if it was labeled Cheesecake Factory, but you got served something that just wasn't related to the Cheesecake Factory at all?
It just depends on one really important thing. If I liked it.
It's good. It's good point. Good thought.
I don't care what they serve me at the Cheesecake Factory. I don't care if they take Panda Express and they package it up and sell it as an appetizer. I'll eat it.
Is it a cheesecake? Hang on, whoops. Before we go forward, sorry. What is sold at the Cheesecake Factory? Is it just cheesecake?
No, it's like a restaurant with many things.
Jeez. Okay. All right.
Yes.
The name is ironic.
It is not just cheese or cakes. They have both.
Well, hang on. This is what Visions is doing. Then it's saying it's a Cheesecake Factory, and it's selling something totally different.
So you're saying, Hannah, that if we take you next time you're in America to the Cheesecake Factory,
which we absolutely should,
and you see stuff on the menu that isn't cheese, or cake or cheesecake or factories, you're gonna be mad.
Yes, because my expectation is this is cheesecake related.
That explains
what is a cheesecake? What is a cheesecake?
Now we're getting into the deep question.
Yes.
Like, just philosophically, what is a cheesecake?
Anyway, what is your bottom percentage, Chris?
Well, I mean, again, if we're talking, I said it was the 75th percentile, so that means 3 out of 4 Star Wars things. So if I start randomly saying things indiscriminately, I'm going to be right 3 out of 4 times.
So, are you saying that Visions is in the top 25% for you?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you have 4 Star Wars projects, 1's going to be better than it, and 3 is going to be worse. So yeah.
Then 4 versus the Visions.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So let's, for example, Andor is better.
Okay, right.
Andor is better, and Bad Batch Season 2 is better. Bad Batch Season 1 is not. Book of Boba Fett is not. Obi-Wan Kenobi is not. Mando Season 2,
5.
probably
6.
not. Mando Season 1, yes. I'm just randomly naming things, saying, is it better or not than Visions? This is an interesting game. But...
Wow. Okay. I want to speak in percentages more. It's great.
Yeah, love it. Next up from Joel. Joel says, canon to me ultimately is when an entry of a franchise has ramifications for other entries of a franchise down the line. For example, Palpatine returns in episode 9, and now Hux is talking about cloning in Mando Season 3. So basically, for something to be canon, it has to affect other things. So,
which is why some episodes of Star Wars Rebels and Bad Batch are not canon. In my book.
What?
Like the Temple of Gloom is not canon to me.
Very canon.
You take it away, nothing.
Important to the story.
Oh wait, the racer
thematically.
One. All right.
Also, that's. I mean, I don't like that one either, but that one's thematically like valid.
Talladega Frights was not. Talladega Frights was not canon.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that episode either, but I'm not gonna dispute that it has a role in the story.
Well,
all those Tech episodes are supposed to make us like Tech, who is a more unlikable character than the rest of the Bad Batch through season 1, so that when he died, we were sad. And I was sad.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that they took a story that made no sense and put one good thing in it.
I mean, Visions. If Visions was canon, we would all be talking about. Oh well, look at all these Jedi characters that are now they're ruining the Return of the Jedi because when Yoda says the Last Jedi will be, there's all these other characters out there that are doing their own thing.
We already do that anyway. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, yeah, but like it would be like a whole bomb dropping of like all these different characters and then you get to I even saw this discourse online, even though Visions is not canon of just like, oh, lady takes her cane and she splits it in half, she turns it into a lightsaber. How does that work? I'm like,
it was awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
That happened already? Isn't that what Mr. Sunube?
Tara Sunube actually was in that episode, by the way.
He was.
He's in the background. Ben's Connection Corner. Yeah, he was actually in the background.
He was. Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me. Dizzy?
Yeah, he's in there. Just in like the first 30 seconds or so.
He's on the train.
Look in the background.
Get out.
Go watch. Look, this is why you have to watch these things. You don't just skim through them.
Oh my god.
Next one from Joel. He says, "For me, a great Star Wars thing is when you can boil it down to a very human story that is universal, set in a fantastical world."
Yes.
And about the human experience. No, I'm not.
I love that we've added. Great.
I love that we've added a new voice to Ben's repertoire. We now have his professor voice, which is I don't know what it is.
Different from his gentleman.
Well, I mean, this actually hits because for a second I'm like, how is Star Wars Visions not this? But also, you could say in a sense that Andor is not that, and then maybe that's why it feels weird because there's not a lot that's fantastical about Andor. It's fantastic, but it's not fantastical.
I don't know. Oh, listen to me defending Andor.
Oh, yeah. Look at my plan worked.
One of us. What is going on here?
I'm just gonna trash Andor until it's Hannah's favorite show.
What have I become? Your new empire.
Henceforth, you shall be known as Andor fan.
Oh my goodness.
But the eye was pretty fantastical.
It was.
You're right. And it was a great episode. And for me, it was Star Wars, but it wasn't as fantastic. The show is not as fantastical as other Star Wars by the degree that
you know what was pretty fantastical though? When Omega and Tech and Hunter and Wrecker and Echo and Fee went into that temple and they discovered that giant mechanized robot thing that had like the world between worlds inside of it and was like thousands of years old. That was pretty fantastical. And
at no point did I ever say
had no purpose.
At no point did I ever say that story was not Star Wars enough for me. It was Star Wars. It was just really crappy Star
Wars. Next up, Orange Juice Dude says, "More British, please." Well, I couldn't possibly. I think that was directed
human experience, quite.
I'm gonna go for Cockney. We need to all have different types of British accents.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the London one. That's the most easy for me.
I'm not Anne.
Blimey. We'll go down to the fish and chip shop, mate. We'll get a bit of a pea mash on it, eh? Do a little bit.
A peanut. Wait, that's southern. A peanash.
Ben?
I'm no comment. No comment. I'm not addressing that. Staying far away from that. I've already been canceled like 25 times. I've worn out my welcome.
Little bit of scandal for you, Ben, eh?
There you go. Hope that was worth the money you paid. Joel says Bad Batch season 2 greater than Mando season 3. One season came together in the end. The other really did not, at least for me.
Yeah,
I disagree. I think the ending of Mando season 3 was the best part of it. Like I had problems with the rest of it.
Too much.
But the issue is the finale. I could totally agree with you, but the whole entire season before that had nothing to do with the finale.
Also, the finale had like 3 endings like Lord of the Rings and felt like the finale for the show, which was confusing.
That's true.
I like that. I like that element. Yeah, I think the ideas that are present in the finale, I think, are present in the season, but they're not nearly as present as they need to be. So I think the last 2 episodes of Mando season 3, I think, are quality stuff. But the season as a whole feels a little bit all over the place. It had some nice ideas, but just it didn't come together in the way.
I think in true Star Wars fashion, there's things in season 3 that just like they absolutely nail it. It's just like dead on, and there's other things that are like not quite there, and you just end up frustrated because you're like, you were almost there, you almost had it, but you didn't.
Also from Joel, he says, worst case for Star Wars is that these shows and movies get delayed if the DGA and Actors Guild join in on the strike. Contracts end June 30th. I mean, that would force the producer's hand to, actually go to the negotiating table and put out real offers, unlike the jokes that they were submitting prior to that. So that might be what has to happen for there to be movement here. So we'll see where we get with that. Also from Joel, if you really think about it, Star Wars hasn't been a film, quote unquote, franchise throughout most of its history. It's mainly been books, video games, comics, and toys. Under George Lucas's tenure, he only made 6 films. I mean, yes, but also the main thing that people think of when they think of Star Wars, at least until recently. I think a case in the last few years.
Wait.
Hold on. The thing that people think of most is the films. More recently can make a case, maybe TV, but still film. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, yeah, Joel's right. I didn't see the isn't, and I'm like, yes, Joel's totally right. No, Joel's right. No, because George, like, a big piece of this was that George gave the distribution rights for Star Wars to the studio, because the studio paid for Star Wars to get made. But what he didn't give was the rights to all those other things. And so Lucasfilm very much was the company that, with 20th Century Fox movie money, made Star Wars movies. But really, it was a merchandising and like expanded universe company.
I'd like to ask George what he thinks, because I think George would tell you it was a film franchise with all that other stuff supporting it.
Well,
because the like episode 7, prior to George beginning to think about it, like there were, the feeling inside Lucasfilm, from what I understand, from what I've read, is that there were some people there that were content just to have it be a toy company. And it was George who went, no. That's not what we are. We make movies, we tell stories. And that's when that's really when he kicked into gear on thinking about the sequel trilogy. And that's led to
I have a question about this, because there's something that I'm not sure I know the answer to that maybe one of you might. So I know that 20th Century Fox funded A New Hope and then distributed it. I know that 20th Century Fox distributed Empire Strikes Back because you have the 20th Century fanfare before the movie. But did 20th Century Fox foot the bill for Empire Strikes Back?
No, George did. He was like going to the bank, taking out more loans and stuff.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If I understand this correctly, in addition to maybe some loans and for some financial help, the fact that Star Wars was able to sell so many books and toys and comics and things after 1977 was probably one of the reasons why Empire Strikes Back got made in the way that it got made. If that didn't happen, then it would have been 20th Century Fox paying for that, and they would have had a little bit more creative oversight over the film, and it might not have been one of the greatest films of all time.
Probably wouldn't.
So here's the thing. I understand if movies are the end goal. Yes, that makes sense. That's like the final idea is to raise up a bunch of money to make more movies. That makes sense. That can be the top thing. But if you're going to do that on the back of selling merchandise and comics and books, you have to also embrace the fact that your franchise is very much a merchandise company as well, because you have to have that part in order to make the films.
Yeah, I don't think it's one thing, but I think like obviously it's not.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a lot. I think but I would, like, if I was labeling it, I would put film at the top.
Yeah.
But it's obviously it's a lot of things.
Well, look at me for example. Like, I've kind of gone to, I'm not as much of a collector as I was when I was younger, or even when I was like a college student. But for me, up until maybe up until the sequels trilogy started, I would have said that to me, Star Wars was a collectible franchise. Like the point of Star Wars to me was it makes Legos and action figures and like maquettes and statues, and like it's the best collectible franchise that exists, and that's why I like it. That's what I think is the number one thing. Whenever there's a new movie or a new thing, all I could think about was, look at all the great toys that are going to come out of this. I'm so excited to see these Clone Wars characters made into action figures. Like that's what it was to me and everybody that I was kind of engaging with at the time.
This has brought us full circle back to what is Star Wars to you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I would say that to Star Wars to George Lucas it was a film franchise. He didn't really care about the books or comics or whatever. He read them and stuff like that. Like he was maybe vaguely interested in them.
I don't think
he didn't really care about them. And like he was mostly interested in making TV shows and movies, mostly movies. And then for everyone else, it kind of became a bigger thing than that. And for Disney executives, it's an IP that you can make money off of from a variety of different things, not just movies.
Yeah. In the end, I don't think it matters though. Like, is it this? Is it that? It's Star Wars. That's what it is. And you take the part you like. If you want the collecting, then it's a collecting company. If you want the films, it's a film company. If you want the books, it's a publishing house. Like,
it totally became a film company for me after 2015, though, because nothing could match the whole idea of like, because when I was a kid, I would just go see the movies, like a week after they came out with my family once. Like it wasn't like a big deal. Then I would have to wait till like next Christmas to get like the DVD or whatever, and then I would watch it again. But like, since then, it's like, oh, wow, we get to, talk about this movie on a podcast for like 2 years. And then it finally comes out, and then we're with all our friends and we're all watching it together. And then we're going to go watch it 10 times in the next week. Like, that very much is a film franchise. And I very much would love for it to get back to that and reincorporate that part to it.
Absolutely. Next up, Orange Juice Dude says Babu Frick. Hey.
No, Spiggy. Baby.
I'm out, mother.
That is Star Wars.
He also says do a poll. Okay. Would you rather
don't do polls?
Wait, this is the poll, not would you rather. Would you rather is a separate game.
Okay. All right. Rank your choices. Jar Jar Binks, double stuffed Oreos, the Cheesecake Factory, or Star Wars Visions Volume 2.
Okay, Jar Jar's first. Jar Jar's first. And then Star Wars Visions Volume 2 is second. And Cheesecake Factory is third. Oreos is fourth.
What?
Whoa. Okay, Hannah.
Okay, listen. If somebody wait. Okay, say someone your friend calls you up. Okay, there's 4 possible phone calls.
Sure.
Okay, the first phone call is, hey, Ahmed Best is hanging out with me right now. Want to come down?
No. It wasn't Ahmed Best. It was Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks in the flesh with Ahmed Best inside his skin suit is hanging out right now.
Oh God.
Do you want to come down? That's the best thing. Number two, if your friend says, I don't know how you missed this, but there's a new Star Wars Vision season out. It's season 2. Then let's go watch it together. I'm going to show it to you early before anybody else. That's the best. Then if your friend calls and says, hey, you want to go to the Cheesecake Factory, dinner's on me, that's the next one. If your friend just says, hey, I got some Oreos, that's going to be the 4th thing.
I'm over there like a shot.
Like you'd rather go out and have a full meal at Cheesecake Factory, hang out with Jar Jar Binks, and watch a whole new season of Star Wars way over just some Oreos. Oreos are good, but I mean that's what you do to distract yourself while you're waiting for those other things.
I mean, but what if
I'm
it was
just
like
gonna-
what if it was like a lifetime supply of Oreos?
I have a lifetime supply of Oreos. I just go to the store and get them.
No, but like you wouldn't have to pay. Like someone said, I will give you this box of Oreos, this magic box of Oreos that is infinite and constantly refills, and you never have to buy.
Cursed. I feel like those things are cursed because you're like forced to eat the thing for the rest of your life, and you just get sick of it because you're like, I get this for free. Why would I get some? Why would I get some Nutter Butters if I have free Oreos? And then you just like never buy Nutter Butters.
The hell is that?
Nutter Butter is the closest thing to Oreos that aren't Oreos. They're
It's like an all peanut butter Oreo. It would kill Dominic.
I like how it looks like a peanut.
Yes, I'm sorry to everyone who can't have Nutter Butters. I'm sorry.
There we go. Okay. And
sorry, what was the question?
The question was do a poll. And I gave
waffles or pancakes.
I think he means in
Pancakes.
the YouTube. You can do the polls for the audience.
Well, then we should do that poll that I suggested.
Okay.
Well, are people answering the poll
I'm
in
gonna
the
do it.
comments? Hold on.
I'm
Rank
gonna
the
do it on
following.
Twitter. Okay, I'm gonna go to Twitter
Yeah,
with
Twitter.
this. And we'll see
Okay.
who wins.
What okay.
Just out of context, those four things.
Yes. Yes.
Binks. Star Wars Visions Volume 2, double stuffed Oreos or the Cheesecake Factory. No further context. Other. Just ask, and we will reveal the results on a
I'm
future show.
so excited. I'm gonna be right.
Maybe by the end of the show. who knows?
Probably. And finally from Joel, Joel says, I actually don't like the finale of season 3 of Mando. It feels like it lacks emotional catharsis and everything is rushed.
Trying to remember what happened.
I've got
So
a
much has
random
happened
thought
since
I
then.
need to add somewhere.
Sure.
You know what? Back to the writer strike thing. If I had to guess, like if we're 5 years in advance or something, and we're looking back at a time and they went, hey, we had a writer strike for a month, 3 months, whatever. Guess which Star Wars project was this in the time frame of? I would have guessed Mando season 3 because it just has the vibe that it was under some real pressure in terms of the writing of the season, which in a case it kind of is with the whole Rangers of the New Republic, those storylines kind of being shoveled in the back of it. I don't know what that phrase I'm trying to get to, but they kind of threw it in last minute. But it has the vibe.
The word is shoehorn.
I think I'm going for shoehorn.
Which I don't understand that because a shoehorn is something that helps you put your shoe on. So why is it a bad thing when something is shoehorned?
I don't know. I like shoveled out the back end. I think that's what we should.
Shoveled
out the wazoo.
Shoveled out the wazoo. Yeah, I would agree, Mando. I mean,
it's got that vibe.
Yeah, a lot. I've said this before, but a lot of Jon Favreau's scripts feel like first drafts, and they haven't really been touched up or edited. So
Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao to
their scripts
feel please.
Their scripts feel complete.
I have a totally unrelated story that might kind of relate to what we're talking about.
Okay.
If we've got time, we can end this for one.
We have all the time that you have.
Can I just say
Okay.
Ben just put out the the Twitter poll.
Oh, I gotta see this.
And the early results, shocking.
This is just from one county, guys.
Yeah. This is the early results. Yeah. We still haven't gotten all of them.
These are just the mail-in votes.
Yeah. We currently have a tie for first.
Okay.
With both Jar Jar Binks and the Cheesecake Factory getting 33%.
Okay, I was right about the Jar Jar one.
In second place or third place is Star Wars Visions Volume 2 at 21%, and then Oreos at 13%.
I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna win this. I'm so down. Like this is the most accurate thing I've ever said.
We have new results coming in from the precincts.
Okay.
Things have turned around big time. Jar Jar still currently tied for first at 31%.
Yes.
I knew this would happen.
But joining Jar Jar at the 31%, making a shocking jump from fourth to first. Oreos at 31%. Cheesecake Factory at 23%. Star Wars Visions Volume 2.
What is
that
this?
15%?
Don't worry. The college kids has not voted yet. There's a college town that has not turned in yet. We're gonna be okay.
This is perfect.
Iowa City has a lot of kids in it, guys.
What does Maricopa County have to say about this?
Maricopa, we're not gonna get those results for 4 months.
What about DeKalb? That's what I need to know.
Oh, that's gonna have to be subpoenaed.
Okay.
Oh,
I had a
boy.
whole other thing planned for the end of the show, but we're just gonna save it for another week. This is the place. There's nowhere else to go. We're gonna begin to wrap things up for this week.
What am I supposed to do? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for not turning this off. We really appreciate it. We'll be back with another episode, same time, same place next week. That place is YouTube and all your favorite podcast apps after the fact, and that time is Thursdays at 6, not 6:30, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We do it a half hour earlier so we can have more fun on the main show. Dom has an update.
No. I'll get the last update possible.
All right. Yeah, let's do the last one at the end of the show.
It keeps changing.
Yeah, at the very, very end. I'm excited. So that's where you can check our stuff out, and of course at the SWUs, where you can follow us on social media. If you'd like to petition for us to create a AOL account, we are now taking petitions for that across all our other
Star Wars Underground at AOL.com.
Yeah, that's what it's
Hopefully that's not taken.
And only if we can, you can only access it
Underground?
Yeah,
Yes.
and you can only access it through Internet Explorer. You can't use any other web browser. Internet Explorer is the only way you can get to that. Just so you guys know. So you better re-download that.
You have to invent a time machine and go back in time to when Internet Explorer was a thing, and then use Internet Explorer to get on that.
Does it not exist anymore?
My work computer still has an Internet Explorer icon, and if you click on it, it opens Microsoft Edge.
Well, the one way to keep that from happening is to download Netscape Navigator. That is not going to go to no Microsoft Edge.
Or would you like to ask Jeeves about that?
That is where you will find your download of Netscape Navigator.
I really don't know what's happening. I really have zero grip on the conversation right now.
I'm starting to be.
Go pull out your Commodore computer.
What?
And plug it into your
What are you
phone
saying?
line with a phone cord.
Okay, boomer.
Right. So we're wrapping up the show. That's what we're doing here. My name is Chris. Dom, thank you for being here.
It was my pleasure as always. Currently, oh man, a shocker in the polls. Currently, we have a tie for third place between Cheesecake Factory and Star Wars Visions Volume 2. In second place, at 27%, Jar Jar Binks.
No!
And first place with 29% is Oreos.
Yes.
Also, I want to give Ben props for how he laid out this poll. He just put "you must choose" and then gave the options. And I think at Ron_Overton sums it up best with the question, choose for what?
And to that I say exactly.
Good night.
Exactly. It's been great fun this week. I won't be here next week, or maybe I'll send a video or something. I don't know, but I'll be back in 2 weeks, and that's when we'll play the game that I prepped for this week, and it'll be fun. I promise it'll be good. But I hope everybody has a good week. I don't know. I was gonna say enjoys something, but nothing's coming out. So just enjoy your lives.
Still watching
Nothing's
the rest
happening.
I still gotta watch the rest of Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures.
Yeah,
thing
enjoy that.
because it's not all on YouTube like I thought it would be, and I'm confused. And
It's on Disney Plus.
I know, and Disney Plus doesn't work on my phone for some reason, and I was on my phone, and I was trying to watch on YouTube, and I started watching compilations, and the compilations were the same 2 episodes over and over again for 10 hours, and I don't know what was going on. I really don't know what was going on. It was very confusing.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a great show. Can't wait to do all this again sometime in the future.
At Dominic J25 is where you can follow Dominic on social media. Check it out. Ben, thank you so much for hosting as well.
Oh, this was an absolute pleasure, as always. Perhaps even more of a pleasure, because I may not be on next week's episode, because I got canceled several times. So,
oh, damn it!
Who knows?
Ben, you get me every time.
Damn. Look. On a serious note, I need to actually give a proper shout out. I don't do this very much anymore for a few different reasons. My other podcast, IPC, we yesterday celebrated our 9th anniversary, which is just wild.
Nice.
And you may be wondering, well, this is a great opportunity to have a new episode, and then also, where's the episode from last month? And to that I say, we literally just didn't get around to making an episode. So sorry about that. So I promise we are working up an episode right now to make up for the lack of episode last month. And we're going to talk about, of course, our 9th anniversary, Guardians Volume 3, a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm sure will be a lot of fun. So definitely go check that out. At IPC Podcast and all the socials is a great place to find us.
Awesome. And Ben's social is at Ben Hart with no E. Finally, Hannah, thank you for hosting as well.
Thank you so much. I had a blast. Yeah, that's all I'm about to say.
Fair enough.
I'm off air already in my mind. Thanks. Yeah, it was a good time. Love talking about the numbers of our scores. That was really fun. That's always a highlight of the end of the show. Great week. Can't wait for next.
Yes, and you can follow Hannah on social media at the Raeside, which is also the name of her YouTube channel, and that is spelled R-A-E side.
To be fair, the number of times I've gotten mail or someone's called me Hannah Ray Fried is way too many to count.
What?
So
Ray Fried?
I'm glad that you specified. If you're on the phone, Hannah Ray Side, just if you say it quickly, it sounds like Hannah Ray Fried.
I think that's the name of the fried chicken restaurant you'll be opening next year. It's Hannah Ray Fried.
Ray Fried.
Fried Nuna.
Nuna? What? What the hell is that?
That is completely how it's spelled, aren't you, Stu? That is very accurate. Thank you for correcting me and all of us.
Oh, I love
Hannah will change her information now to correctly spell her own name. 100%. It's happening. What else do we do? Oh yeah, we let people know to subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you do that. Thanks to everybody who super chatted with us. We had a lot of fun in the super chat segment, and thanks to everybody who was a part of that. That was freaking awesome. Thanks to all our channel members. Join our Discord, and we're going to be putting out a thing where you can leave some comments there as well that we can talk about in our super chat section for people who can't make the live show. So stay tuned for an update about that on the Discord server. But in the meantime, in the description is the link to the Discord server. Make sure you check it out. Oh,
go ahead. Go finish up.
Oh, yeah. I thought I was done, and then I realized that I jumped around because of reasons and forgot to mention that people should leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Okay, yes.
All right, final poll update for tonight. I just noticed that Ben set the length of this poll as being a whole week, so we'll have a week of this.
Oh, that's the max. That's the max.
Oh, that's good.
Amount of time,
that's good.
So.
That's good. So currently, sitting in fourth place, with 21% of the vote, still not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. The Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
In third place.
For me.
Third place with 25% of the vote. Jar Jar Binks.
No, man, what's happening?
In second place
Come on.
with 26% of the vote. His Star Wars Visions Volume 2. And leading the charge, leading the way, with 28% of the vote, Oreos. Now, the Star Wars Underworld Decision Desk is not yet ready to make a call on this, but tune in the weeks to come, the weeks and months to come, to find out who won this poll and whether
I'm just hearing Oreos are already up on stage giving their acceptance speech, and they're calling it. So there you go.
What? Recount.
It's pretty close.
Challenge
like,
the call.
Oh, my, this is rigged. This is fake news. Oi. Me, someone that actually won.
I mean, Jar Jar is kind of orange. I guess it's somebody.
How dare you?
I know.
He's not giving emergency powers to Oreo.
Jar Jar is a bit of a dictator.
Yeah, he is a bit.
I think that's the topic for next week. I think we'll have to break that one down.
Jar Jar's dictatorship.
Yeah. Also, I just realized we still have this queued up for some reason.
Yes.
Okay.
Feels appropriate given the current polling situation.
Jar Jar swole.
I'm gonna have to get Twitter in the comments.
Jar Jar bench. I'm trying to think of a gym pad. Hang on.
That's pretty accurate. Jar Jar Binks truck. Jar Jar Brinks truck.
That's if he's rich.
No, but the Brinks are also thick trucks.
Okay.
You know what? He can lift.
Jar Jar buff.
All right.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to end the show.
Everybody shut up.
Yeah, okay. We'll be back next week. My name is Chris, for Dom and Ben and Hannah and all the other fantastic contributors at the Star Wars Underworld. We'll see you next week, and may the Force be with you.
It's a wrap.